Furniture's huge blowout sale. Our professional staff will assist you with your purchase. We have same-day delivery and setup by experienced furniture installers. Don't wait. Buy today with up to 60-month special financing and no money down. Shop Social Furniture's huge blowout sale. Now through Monday on Charlotte Avenue in Nashville. Save, 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 save.
And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
TriStar Moving and 102.5 The Game celebrates the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Now, your Game Center update.
The AFC divisional matchups are set. We've got Jags Chiefs and Bills Bengals. As for the NFC, the Giants will head to Philly to face the Eagles, and the winner in the Cowboys-Bucks game tonight will head to San Francisco to face the 49ers. After a 3-game win streak, the Nashville Predators lose 3 in a row. The Predators fall 5-3 to the Sabres in Nashville on Saturday. John Hines spoke after the game and said the team needs to be more consistent.
Well, you want to be able to, string more together. As you said, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's that consistency to win more regularly. That part of our game, that part of our mindset has to get better. Part of our performance of the consistency level has to be better game to game and multiple games in a row.
Tonight, the Calgary Flames will face the Predators in Smashville. Pre-game will start at 6. The Tennessee Titans have also requested permission to interview Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and quarterback coach Matt Nagy. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, and even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Good Monday, everybody. Welcome in 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Michelle Knezovic, reporter Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend as well. What a fun weekend of football that we had in the NFL. Super wild card weekend, and it's not over yet. My beloved Dallas Cowboys will take on Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers tonight, which looking forward to that. Michelle, what's up?
Listen, Chase, I had a great weekend.
I know
I'm
you
feeling
did.
fabulous right now. I also got another coffee. It's going to be a great day.
How'd you get that coffee? Where'd that come from?
I used
special delivery?
I used a little thing called pay $15 to get it delivered.
There you go. There you go. It's one of those days.
It's one of those days.
Yes, you had a good catter day.
Oh, yes, I had a great Catter day.
We'll talk about
it's
that.
always amazing when one of Kentucky's worst teams can beat one of Tennessee's best.
I cracked up this morning listening to Robbie and Rexroad when Joe says, so are you all rehiring Calipari now?
Oh, of course. He was on probation last week. People heard on this show. People heard on Robbie and Rexroad. But listen, winning,
He's actually been that before, but anyway, that's for other things. But
winning really does cure all. Winning cures everything.
It
Remember all the
does.
Todd Downing haters, and then he wins in Green Bay, and they're like, we love you.
And then they don't win again.
And then they don't win again, and then we hate him again. But seriously,
And
if
now
they
he's
were to
fired.
win and be in the playoffs, winning really does cure everything.
It helps, that is for sure. And speaking of winning, curing everything, had you watched the Jacksonville Chargers game in the first half, I mean, Twitter was a buzz, like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, he's a bust, 4 interceptions in the first half, just unbelievable. This is worse than Tannehill. And then what do? They turn around, they come back, and they win the thing. Which I just the whole time I'm at the Predators game. Max and I are kind of tag teaming pre-post and all that stuff. And I just in my head I'm going, they're gonna come back and win this game. They're gonna figure this out. It had that feel to it. Like the Chargers are gonna choke this away. I think Staley's gonna end up getting fired because of it, but and because of Mike Williams, playing him when you didn't have to. But it was just unbelievable. And then what does Trevor Lawrence do afterwards? He celebrates at Waffle House with the people.
Absolutely incredible. I saw some pictures of Waffle House employees with selfies with Trevor. But, I mean, when I was watching that game and I saw how much the Chargers, they got up to that 27-0 lead, I still didn't count the Jags out. I still thought, they have Doug Peterson as their coach. They have Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he just threw 2 awful interceptions. But talk about the mental strength and the ability to compartmentalize. Trevor Lawrence coming back out there, throwing 4 touchdowns and then a game-winning drive. And how about that 4th and 1 call by Doug Peterson? They think they're going for the quarterback sneak. They got 3 guys in the back, hand to ETN, and for a nice run, sets them up in field goal position, and there's the game.
Yep, and they end up getting the win, and so now they will take on the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead, which obviously is going to be quite the test. But I thought it was interesting this morning when Corey Curtis was asked about it. He said, look, of course they have a chance. Everybody has a chance this time of year. Now, do I think that Jacksonville's going to win? Am I going to pick Jacksonville? No, but my prediction for them in this postseason has now come true. I thought they'd win a game, and they did. And it wasn't pretty, but it doesn't matter. They got the win. But Brandon Staley, the head coach for the Chargers, was definitely upset after the game.
I don't think we played clean enough football. I didn't think we made enough winning plays in the second half where everyone's performing their assignment, doing it with the right technique, with the right type of energy. I just think there was a lot of little things in the second half that added up to a big result there.
And, yeah, I mean, I agree. This is what I don't understand. And I've never played, in the NFL, obviously, but Derek and I have talked about this some over the years. I don't understand how veteran athletes, veteran NFL players can allow themselves to take their foot off the gas. I know there's a human element. There's always going to be a human element. It doesn't matter how much you make or whatever, but it's like, what's on the line, and you have just dominated the first half. You have made their quarterback look like he's still in high school, and yet you somehow let them battle back. And to anyone out there that didn't do what I did, and I wish I had, and jumped on the Jags money line.
Ooh, mid-game money line.
Ooh, good for you. You're feeling good today.
You are feeling good. Well, Chase, I mean, that was one of the biggest storylines for this Tennessee Titans team this year. They couldn't respond in the second half. And we've seen weaknesses from this Chargers team, but the fact that you have just they weren't able to get anything going in the second half, and they let the Jags run all over them and score 27 points and then end up winning the game. So I agree with you. If you're a veteran and you know what's on the line and listen, it's win or go home. But, I mean, they say, the better team always wins. And Corey Curtis actually mentioned this morning. I mean, the fact that Jacksonville was able to win after Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions and the Chargers were able to score points and capitalize off of every single turnover, pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, but now Jacksonville finds themselves playing again, and Trevor Lawrence, even though he had 4 interceptions in the first half, said that they had some confidence.
And you just gotta keep playing with confidence. That was the one thing. Just self-talk in my head, you're going back and forth. It's tough, when you're struggling and not playing well, but if I don't continue to be myself, we don't have a shot to win because, then I'm going to miss the plays that I usually make.
So I had this because of that and because of that performance, I had this whole thing planned for post-game for the Predators because I ended up doing the post-game show. Matthias Ekholm was going to come up, and I thought there was a point where the Predators were going to come back and win that game. They had scored 2 goals in 40 seconds, had tied it up, and then things got away from them in the third. But I had this whole thought process of like, this is why they're 60 minutes. This is what they're not 40 minutes. They're not 30 minutes. Games are 60 minutes. And even though things may have gotten away from you in a short amount of time, you got to keep playing. And so many times you see teams just pack it in because they know that, like, we're done. But, I mean, we've seen a couple of examples this year of major comebacks. The Colts squandered a lead against Minnesota. Minnesota came back. We obviously saw Jacksonville and the Chargers, and I feel like I'm forgetting one.
I mean, even Miami this weekend had a pretty big comeback. They were down, I think at most they were down 17-0 or maybe 14-0.
I think it was 17-0, and then down, like, at points they'd be down by 10 and then they'd battle back. But
I know they weren't able to win, but I mean, with Skylar Thompson as your quarterback and the ability to come back on that,
he did
Buffalo.
The best he could. I was impressed with him. The poise he showed being in that kind of environment, and they kept showing his dad, which I thought was cool. But yeah, that was tough to be in.
How about Josh Allen with over 30 turnovers this year?
Yeah. What's that? Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Is that what it is?
Including fumbles. Nick Wright tweeted it this morning.
Wow. Yeah. And look, that can come back to bite them as they move along.
Especially when they play the Bengals next week.
I think what is so interesting, and you see this sometimes with Wild Card Weekend, like, let's just go through them. San Francisco beat Seattle 41-23. Not really a huge surprise. It was funny. This was a game that, like, kind of like TCU Georgia, that I kind of talked myself into thinking Seattle might make it a game. And, early on it was a lot closer for sure. But then San Francisco has another gear that they go to. I mean, Brock Purdy, I got to say this. San Francisco is in a fantastic position because
are they?
They got Purdy. They got obviously Trey Lance, Jimmy G,
potentially Brady.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They got a lot of options there, so I think that
well, and for everybody saying, of course, they have great weapons around Purdy, but I mean, he made plays out there, and he showed that, hey, I can go in, be confident. And yes, he has probably the best team around him, I would say, if you look at it from top to bottom. But, I mean, that kid went out there and made some plays. Yeah, he did. We already talked about 31-30 the final. Jacksonville gets the win on that field goal at the end. Miami puts up a fight against Buffalo. And the other thing that I was going to make is you had several division games. So this was the third time that they had played each other. They had split the regular season. They'd been close games. So even though Buffalo, I was seeing posts about, is Buffalo a fraud? No, I just think they're two teams that are familiar with each other, and I kind of think that that's what we saw. But Buffalo ends up winning. The good teams find a way, and that's what happened. The Giants, that one felt easy to me, like not the game, but just picking the Giants because Kirk Cousins just always seems to blow it in the big moment, and that's what happened. Well, in the play calling on the Giants side, I think they had a great plan heading into Minnesota. I mean, Saquon, comeback player of the year, pretty up there with everybody else. I mean, he has had a phenomenal year. They knew how to take on Minnesota, and then at the end, Kirk Cousins had a really great game if you look at the numbers, but on that final play, you can't throw short of the sticks. You just can't, because then the Giants get the ball back, and there's the game for you. Right. And then you had the one last night with the Bengals and the Ravens. Now, that one was a little closer than I thought it was going to be. And I agree with Joe and Robbie. They totally missed a block in the back. I mean, I even said I was watching that game, and I was like, yeah, that's a block in the back. That's probably coming back, and they didn't call it. So, well, and we talked about that too. How in a situation like that, where they're in an open field, everybody's eyes are on the ball Mark Andrews and whoever pushed him, everybody's eyes are there. Nobody is looking towards the other end zone. How is something not called? And you don't know if Cincinnati would have scored off of it. Maybe they would have only gotten a field goal off of it. And it could have been a different outcome of the game. I mean, I think the Ravens played better, but Cincinnati ended up winning because of that play.
There's no doubt. They absolutely won because of that play. So, look, I think every team can have a not-so-great game in the playoffs, and if they're a good enough team, they'll find a way.
Which they did. But now you got to take it up a notch. And so we'll see as the playoffs move on. Coming up next, we're going to get into the Titans GM and offensive coordinator search, as they did have some interviews over the weekend for the GM job. There's some rumors out there about OC. We welcome your phone calls and texts as well at 615-737-1025. It's Chase and Michelle, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of it.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Preds fans, you coming out for tonight's big game? The pre-party action is at Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville, steps away from Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy great specials like $3 off any appetizer in the bar area and $20 bucket specials on Bud, Bud Light, Mick Ultra, and Landshark beer. A sports TV viewing mecca, the Landshark Bar and Grill is a Lower Broadway must-see. That's the Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on the corner of 4th Avenue and Broadway. Stop in before the Preds game tonight.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair in your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Penny Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app. Take taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
This is Chase and Michelle.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. As the Titans have started they've been doing their GM search. I mean, if you believe Amy Adams Strunk, that's why she wanted to fire John Robinson in the middle of the season to get ahead of it, even though you couldn't talk to anybody until the end of the season, but whatever.
Scouting.
Something like that. But anyway, they have been conducting their interviews. And obviously it started with Ryan Cowden and Monty Austinfort, the two internal candidates. On Friday, they interviewed Rand Carthen, the 49ers Director of Player Personnel, and Glenn Cook, the Browns Assistant GM and VP of Player Personnel. And then on Saturday, Ian Cunningham, the Bears Assistant GM, and Quentin Harris, Cardinals VP of Player Personnel. So those are the interviews that have been conducted thus far for the GM search. And so there's two layers to this with the GM search and the OC search. I think GM is going to be Cowden or Austinfort. I think they stay internal. I have decided that I believe OC is going to be outside the family. That I think that there's something to, the Bieniemy and Matt Nagy and those interviews. And look, Nagy was a bad head coach, but I actually think he's a decent coordinator. So I wouldn't hate that. I mean, pulling anybody out of the Andy Reid tree to me would be a good move. But I think they're going to go. I've kind of reversed course from my Tim Kelly, thinking that Tim Kelly was the shoe-in. And look, it may end up being that. But on one of these, you're going to see them go outside the family. And I feel with Vrabel getting a little more power, maybe not his choosing per se and not wanting the whole thing, I think Amy's going to go with somebody that he's comfortable with and already knows.
Well, and I think before this weekend, I was pretty set on, I think the Tennessee Titans, they're going to stay in-house with either Cowden or Monty Austinfort, and then with the OC, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure they're going to stay with Tim Kelly. But now I think after this weekend and after more reports have come out about different interviews, whether it be OC and GM, I think I'm a little bit more open or a little less sure at the fact that they will stay in-house. But one of the biggest questions on what they do with OC, I know that will be Vrabel's decision, but I do think it kind of all plays in together with whoever your GM is as well. Because
sure,
when you're talking to an OC and the OC is like, okay, well, I look at this team right now. You weren't a playoff team. You got a pretty depleted offense. Okay, what are you going to do? What is the plan? Are you going to, trade a Henry? Are you going to move off Tannehill? What is this roster going to look like? But a lot of that also depends on who you're getting in as GM, and does he want to, just use the draft and free agency? Does he want to keep some of the bigger name guys on the team? So I feel like, this needs to be coming quick as to who is your GM, because then you got to get an offensive coordinator. And before we know it, the divisional rounds are this weekend. Before you know it, the combine's going to be here. The draft's going to be here. Teams are already in the postseason. The Super Bowl's going to be here in a couple weeks. You've seen all you need to see in other GMs. And I know Amy Adams said, we'll wait until the Super Bowl's over if need be. But they need to move somewhat quickly, I would say, on this, Chase.
Well, because, you got to start getting ready for the combine and all that. And one thing to consider, too, is you're going to hire a new GM. The scouting staff is what it is right now. They'll get through the combine. They'll get through the draft. Then you'll probably see some turnover on the scouting side of things. That's typically what happens. That's what we saw when J-Rob was hired. They made some big changes with the scouts. He kind of went through what was there and then made his changes after the draft. You're kind of at that point where the draft process has already started. So you need that. But to your point, and I think you are absolutely 100% spot on, now you got to figure out what you want the roster to be. And somewhere in somebody's mind, Mike Vrabel being at the top of the list, they need to already know, yeah, we want to roll with Tannehill. No, we want to look at something different. We'll get into some of those rumors that are out there.
Oh, we will.
But you kind of got to have a good idea. And then the GM, needs to be on the same page with that because I agree, whoever the OC is has to fit, the personnel that you have, or they have to be the type of OC that they can adapt. I mean, I used to say this about Ken Wisenhunt, and what got Ken Wisenhunt fired is he wanted everybody to adapt to his offense. He wouldn't adapt to the players. And that made him a terrible head coach and a bad OC and eventually got him fired. And so, because he wanted Jake Locker to be something that he wasn't, and he ran him out of the league, essentially. And look, Locker wasn't going to be I think we kind of knew he wasn't going to be a franchise quarterback, but still, I think he could have gotten more out of him. But that's going to be big. And, the Eric Bieniemy stuff I find to be very interesting because every year he interviews to be a head coach. You think, okay, this is the time, and maybe this year is the time. But maybe what's holding teams back is, well, he's the OC by title, but he's not calling plays.
So it wouldn't be a lateral move. If he were to get the job here, he would have the opportunity to call plays. But on the flip side, in Vrabel's after the season press conference said, I don't want coaches looking for other jobs. I want their full focus to be on this team. But I could very much see Eric Bieniemy's already been interviewing for head coaching jobs. It looks like if he were to move to Tennessee, from the outside looking in, it would be more of a pit stop like a Matt LaFleur. Come here, call plays for a couple years. And if you're a good OC, you're going to get a head coaching job because this league loves offensive minds.
Yeah, well, and here's where you can tie all this together. Because, again, you and I are on the same page. I think it could potentially take him a year, be 1 year, like Matt LaFleur. LaFleur was the OC for a year and parlayed honestly, an average offense into a head coaching job. But because he had such a pedigree or such potential, I should say, the Packers took a chance on him, and it's been a success because he's had Aaron Rodgers.
Helps with Aaron Rodgers at the helm.
But with Bieniemy, and if you believe some of the things that are out there that, could the Titans make a run at Brady? Could they make a run at Rodgers? Could they run it back with Tannehill but just build around him? That could fit into Bieniemy's plan of, okay, he comes in, he's a play caller for a year, and then he probably gets the head coaching job. Teams see, like, okay, he can call plays, let's do it.
Well, and it could be that run it back here if that's what the Tennessee Titans want to do, and you want to go and get Brady, and you want to go and get Eric Bieniemy, but also too you're taking the risk of he's been sitting behind Andy Reid.
Not Andy Dalton.
Definitely not Andy Dalton. He's been sitting behind Andy Reid, watching him call plays for a year, but he's never actually been in the seat doing it. So you're also taking a risk at that too, and not hiring an OC who's been in that position before. So even though, he's a young rising star, it still is somewhat of a risk.
Oh, I think so. I definitely think, in anything. Now, Matt Nagy, I think, could be interesting because he's been an OC, he's called plays, he's been a head coach. That one may have some less risk to it. And, he's been in that Andy Reid tree for a while. But, there's going to be risk. But, there's risk going outside the family and going, going and getting somebody, you don't like. I look back when the Titans hired Jim Schwartz to come in and be a senior defensive assistant and basically an advisor. I thought that was a very interesting move to the point that I thought it wasn't Vrabel, that Vrabel was told to do it. Now, I've since found out that it wasn't necessarily Vrabel's idea, but he was on board with it, and it worked. I think it's been beneficial to Vrabel. I think it's been beneficial to Shane Bowen, to have him in there. And, I would expect Schwartz has gotten some interviews for DC jobs. I could see him being a DC again with another team. But he showed me that he is willing to go outside his comfort zone. And I think you have to be willing to do that as a successful head coach in this league. And I think you should do it here.
Well, and I think Mike Vrabel's a very smart man, and he knows that this offense needs a pretty big upgrade if they want to win football games next year. And I think he's open to obviously interviewing other people. We've seen a bunch of different names thrown around there, a bunch of different people that the Tennessee Titans have requested to interview for this position. So when people say, he needs a Patriot-like minded guy, and I get that. I get, what he came up in the NFL with. He was under a Belichick, and they have all that similar mindset. But it doesn't say that hiring somebody from the outside can't have that mindset either. Just maybe didn't come from a Patriot tree. But he could still find somebody who has the same mindset. They're still on the same page when it comes to work ethic, when it comes to the way they view a certain team and how they want to approach the way they play.
615-737-1025. What do you think about Matt Nagy or Eric Bieniemy being a potential offensive coordinator for the Titans? Or is there another name that is out there that you'd like them to be interested in? 615-737-1025. Plus, there's one potential OC that pulled such a boss move that I am so on board with. We'll discuss that coming up next here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sportsbook, and I got something for you to add to your New Year's resolution. Win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. I think that sounds pretty good to most people. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas. So you get the best odds boosts anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Super Wild Card Weekend. Listen, I hope you listened to my picks last weekend because I got you the Jags and I got you those 49ers as well. But listen, we've got one more game tonight, the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm taking Tampa Tom plus 2.5 over the Cowboys. I trust Tom more in the playoffs than I do Dak Prescott. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and place your bets today. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
Signs First, Nashville's trusted vehicle wrap and graphics one-stop shop. From one-off custom applications to entire company fleets, Signs First delivers superior quality both locally and nationally since 1991. Be creative. Get noticed. Signs First. Go to sfnash.com.
Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway.
Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze, Bridgestone Arena, Saturday, April 15th. Tickets available at NateBargatze.com. Don't miss Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway. Produced by Outback Presents.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Chase and Michelle podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
I got some good news. Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle presented by Hair Club. Love your hair, live your life. Creating custom hair loss solutions for men and women. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic, reporter Nick Keyser behind the glass. All right, taking your calls, your texts, 615-737-1025. Titans offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, Matt Nagy, and supposedly Nagy hasn't even responded to the interview request yet, which it's kind of like, is that like a Facebook friend request? It just sits there for a while, and you don't.
It's like, I see you.
I see it, but I'm not.
I see you in the wings.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to accept it yet. I'm just going to let you wait for a minute. But there was one potential candidate that I never thought was a real candidate for the Titans, but a name that was out there who pulled a just absolute boss move. Cliff Kingsbury, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of teams. This was Peter Schrager of Fox Sports and the NFL Network. Multiple teams have reached out to Kingsbury about their OC vacancies. However, the coach has told inquiring teams that he, quote, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, end quote, and has no interest in interviewing at the moment.
Kingsbury said, peace, I'm going on vacation. Have fun in the playoffs, everyone.
This is what I would jot this down. This is just my thought. I don't have any fact to back this up. I think Kingsbury takes the year off because he can. He doesn't have to coach.
Travel the world.
I think he goes back to college. I would put Mississippi State as a possible landing spot for him. He was cut from the Mike Leach tree, coached with him, similar offense. They have promoted from within, which was the right thing to do at the time after the passing of Mike Leach. But I could see that being a one-year thing. I don't think Kingsbury is a great college head coach. I mean, he got fired at Texas Tech and then got the job at Arizona. He could find himself in the Nick Saban head coaching rehabilitation program. Never know, but because that could be an interesting fit. But I would pay attention to that I think he could potentially land, at a school like a Mississippi State, if not Mississippi State.
Yeah, I definitely don't rule it out of the question. I mean, I think you made a couple great points, especially him being cut from the same Mike Leach tree as a lot of these other offensive minds. But I mean, his year in Arizona, or last couple of years in Arizona, a lot of just drama too.
Yeah.
With Kyler Murray especially. I think he's probably like, one-way ticket to Thailand. I'm going to get out of this for a little bit, peace, and I'll revisit coaching. But he can. That's the thing. And we rarely do see it, though, when coaches get fired. They just want to jump right back into it, get another job as quick as possible. But good for him taking time, leaving for a bit. Who knows when he'll come back? Maybe he'll come back right in August, right in time to start college football season.
Yes, indeed. There was a text you wanted to read.
Yes, Chase, I was just going to read it. So we got Marlon from Murfreesboro. I think hiring Bieniemy and keeping Tim Kelly in the wings when Bieniemy goes to get a head coaching job after 1 year is a good idea, especially if you're hiring from within for GM. Couple thoughts on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tim Kelly, he has to be willing to, be the passing game coordinator again for the next year. Not sure what that dynamic was like when he came from Houston to here. Was his conversation with Vrabel like, hey, if you prove yourself and if Todd Downing is not the answer at OC, we would love to potentially maybe promote you while also interviewing on other candidates. But is he looking to still be an offensive coordinator and eventually a head coach in this league? But yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good idea. You bring a young star in. It's not as big a transition if he does get a head coaching job after 1 year. You've got Tim Kelly in there 3 years now, but a lot of it depends on, is Tim Kelly willing to do that, and is Bieniemy willing to, come in here too with having Tim Kelly in the wings, however he's involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good point, but I think sometimes you just kind of have to roll with it. Because Tim Kelly, I thought he had some okay years as OC, but he also had Deshaun Watson, so that and
well, look
Nuke
at Deshaun
Hopkins
Watson now, and I know he hasn't played in 2 years, but
sure. But I mean, at the time he had Deshaun Watson, who was hot on the scene, and then DeAndre Hopkins too. So I mean, he had some pretty stout guys to run that offense. So that's a part of it. But the more the Titans look outside, and the more names and good names that you hear attached to them, the more I think less and less it'll be Tim Kelly. And last week I was pretty adamant that I thought they would go with Tim Kelly. But, I've kind of thought about it. Like, the more you hear them connected to other names, now they could circle back around and go, he knows the players, that's what we're going to go with. But then do you start to connect the dots that they are going to run it back? So.
Well, Joe brought up a good point this morning in, if they decide to go with an Eric Bieniemy and that style offense, of how would a Derrick Henry fit into that style of offense?
Yeah.
Because it's not surrounded by your run game like the Tennessee Titans are right now. So, if you are looking to get a guy like that, what could this offense look like next year? And would Derrick Henry be a part of it, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. Now, I think you can change up the offense and still have Derrick Henry be a part of it. He's just not the focal point. And honestly, that's what they got to get to. I mean, I think
pay him a little less.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having him on the team and having him being a key part of the offense, but he doesn't have to be the offense like he has been, because I don't think he can be anymore.
Well,
I mean, I think that's what we've started to see.
That's how you can sustain him for a couple more years, is not needing him to have 30-plus carries a game for you to just be in the game and maybe win, because he is your only offensive threat. But, a year under your belt with Chig and a Treylon, and maybe you go out, get a veteran wide receiver, and you can have Derrick Henry just turn 29. You could pay him a little bit less, but he could still be a playmaker for you in this offense, but also not have to play so frequently and just have that, all the guys on him and just the regression of his body.
Yeah. I mean, he had 1,500 yards this year,
which is insane.
Which is fine. I mean, that's more than fine.
Second rushing in the league, just behind Jacobs.
Let's say that the offense changes and you get Treylon Burks some receiver help, and I'm going on the assumption Tannehill's quarterback.
Okay.
You fix the offensive line, obviously, or begin to fix the offensive line, greatly improve the offensive line from what it was last year. And let's say that, Henry's stats drop to, 1,200 yards. Okay. I mean, I don't hate that. I mean, that's fine. As long as you're getting the production from the receivers and tight ends in that way, and maybe you're using Hassan Haskins a little bit more. Maybe you bring back DeAndre Hilliard and use him a little bit more. I mean, as long as that production is going to use somewhere else, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, and if you just, maybe get this is a name that Teron Davenport threw out there.
I call him DeAndre.
Yeah, you did.
Dontrell.
I got confused for a second. I was like, wait,
just
Don,
wait,
you
who?
were thinking Foreman.
I was.
DeAndre Foreman.
I just combined a bunch of names is what I did. Dontrell.
But you look at an Andre Dillard from the Eagles. Maybe you could get him in free agency to add to your offensive line. You say a Ben Jones comes back. You re-sign Nate Davis, Nicholas Petit-Frere, second year in the league. So, okay, so your O-line's looking a bit better. You keep Tannehill. Your wide receiver room looks That's probably your the biggest need for an upgrade. Okay, you go out and get
is nice.
you go out and get maybe a free agent. You draft a guy in the draft, and that's not a bad offense.
Yeah.
You got Chig, you got an Austin Hooper another year, you got Treylon. You hope Nick Westbrook-Akine can be your fourth or fifth wide receiver. You hope that you can beef that room up a little bit between the draft and maybe free agency.
Woods is probably gone.
Yes.
Unless, he takes a significant pay cut.
Unless he takes a significant pay cut and you can go get a star wide receiver somewhere. I know people will probably roll their eyes at DeAndre Hopkins, but
yeah,
I know he's older. But if you're trying to run it back one more year.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like they're for the third year in a row going to trade for a receiver.
I do too.
I just kind of get that sense that that's probably what they're going to end up doing.
And
whoever that is.
Does this team look a little bit more attractive if you propose what your plan is to maybe a say player?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I need to go look and see what teams are going to be in cap trouble and who could be trade candidates. But coming up next, we'll get into our daily power play. The Predators were in action over the weekend. They play today and tomorrow as well, all at home. We'll discuss that next here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He wrists one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
We're Cromwell Media, and if you work here, you're family, and that means a lot. Dagwood has been our morning host on 102.9 The Buzz for 24 years. For Christy Maffett on our sales team, that means 23 years of service. Haley St. John, also an on-air talent on 102.9 The Buzz, is celebrating 10 years. Shannon Sanders, the architect behind 102.1 The Ville, joined our team 5 years ago. Charlotte Simmons, who works on our corporate team, has been with us for 3 years. Want to be part of our amazing Cromwell family? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Chase and Michelle on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's time for the Daily Power Play.
And the score! A power play goal for the Predators.
Covering the Predators and the NHL.
With a shot that stopped by Saros.
Now on Chase and Michelle.
Predators back in action tonight against the Calgary Flames at Bridgestone Arena. Max Hers will have pregame at 6, the puck drop at 7. They'll also have the makeup game against Columbus tomorrow night with a puck drop of 7. So look forward to that. There's a lot of home games coming up, but they dropped one to Buffalo 5-3 on Saturday, and I was at the game, Michelle, keeping up with the playoffs, the Jacksonville Chargers game, and then, seeing what's going on the ice with the Predators. And Jeff Skinner got on the board first. And you know what, Nick, I was talking to Max about this, that, Jeff Skinner, he's not the same Jeff Skinner that he used to be, but I saw he has 18 goals, and I go, he can still hurt you any night. He didn't have to be that superstar anymore like he was.
No, absolutely not. And I think the key thing with him is he's been put in the right system, and they've really put guys around him. And I was talking to my guest on Behind Enemy Lines, and I had asked him who really stood out to him as a surprise so far this year, and it's Dylan Cousins. And I know that he's played some with Jeff Skinner this year, but Jeff, he was with the Hurricanes for a long time, and he just has kind of found himself recently, I would say, with the Sabres. And I've liked watching him play because he was a really good goal scorer. He was a 30-goal scorer at one point, but yeah, he was a really good player on Saturday night.
Tage Thompson, though. Ooh, that guy. He is a heck of a player. But Predator score 2 goals in 40 seconds in the second period. Jeremy Lauzon, his third. Ryan Johansson, his 10th. and it's a 3-3 game. That was the crazy part. It was 1-1 after 1, 3-3 after 2. So we're thinking, all right, this is going to be back and forth. And they pull away. Two goals by Okposo and Jack Quinn, and 5-3 would be the final. I had Matthias Ekholm up in Barrel House afterwards, and you just kind of knew, like, there were the little things that they did wrong hurt them, and that has been kind of their season. And I know that John Hines was asked about this season being like a yo-yo, that you win one, you lose one, you win two, you lose two, and it's just kind of a back and forth, and that's been their season to this point.
John, your team wins one, loses one, wins two, loses two, and a 3-game losing streak now. Do you get the feeling like you're kind of stuck and can't quite get over the hump there at this point in the season?
Well, you want to be able to, string more together. As you said, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's that consistency to win more regularly. That part of our game, that part of our mindset has to get better. Part of our performance of the consistency level has to be better game to game and multiple games in a row.
And they have a chance to really get that going in the next couple of weeks, because outside of Thursday, they're at Bridgestone Arena. Thursday, they're in St. Louis. Quick little up and back road trip. But they got the 2 games starting tonight against Calgary and Columbus. Then they're back Saturday against L.A., Winnipeg's here on Tuesday. Jersey's here on Thursday. And then they hit the All-Star break. And so this is a very important stretch with 5 of their next 6 at home that they really need to take care of those, because if they can do that and get those points, you got to like the position that they're in going into the All-Star break. But they got to take care of business, and it's not going to be easy.
Well, and Chase, you mentioned how important this stretch is. We saw how the Predators started off this season not the best, and definitely not as good as we expected them, especially with the moves they made and Niederreiter and Ryan McDonough. Okay, and then they get on a bit of a hot streak. But now, just like you mentioned, kind of the inconsistencies we've been seeing, but we're already more than halfway through this NHL season. And if you could pick up a couple points before this All-Star break, you get some rest in your guys, you get some legs under your guys, because once you come out of it, you're in that home stretch of the season, right? 20-plus games left, and you're fighting for a playoff spot at this point. So It is very important, especially tonight when you've got Calgary coming in. You already beat them over in Europe at the beginning of this year, but Nazem Kadri, already 17 goals on the season. You know that he's going to be a danger.
San Jose. You didn't beat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nazem Kadri, he's going to be,
he's
one of the biggest threats on the ice.
Kadri is a guy that I really wish could be on the Predators. I would love to have Nazem Kadri on the Predators, because he's such a pain, and you hate playing against him. He's one of those. I mean, who's a guy that Kentucky goes up against that you wish he played for Kentucky? I mean,
Hunter Dickinson for Michigan.
Yeah.
Just a big dude who,
like, he's just a thorn in your side.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, you got to go up against those guys. But yeah, Kadri, is a big reason why Colorado won a Stanley Cup, because they added that grit, they added that guy that can score. But Calgary's fighting for a playoff spot just like you are, and so that's why tonight is very, very important as they face the Flames at Bridgestone Arena. And Calgary lost a lot because in the off season they tried to fill it, but I think that they've done okay. But they're still not where they want to be as they fight for a playoff spot. Predators did beat them in Calgary 4-1 on November 3rd. So that's the last time these two teams met, and they will do it again tonight. But I would assume we're going to see Saros tonight, Lankinen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Lankinen missed, a start. We saw Askarov take that spot, but is that what you think they'll do, Nick?
Oh, 100%. I think if you look at how they played this weekend, and hey, maybe even Lanky plays tonight. I don't know, because if you look at it, both of these next two teams are very good opponents, and they are both Central Division, they're both Western Conference opponents. The Flames are no joke, and they have good goaltending tonight, so it's going to be harder for the Preds to get after them. I think tomorrow night might be the more important game standings-wise. Tonight's just a confidence booster if you do beat the Flames. But, yeah, I mean, you could go either way here tonight. I don't know. I mean, Lankinen, if I was coach, I may go Lankinen tonight because he needs to play and get his legs back under him. Because tomorrow night's going to be a good test for Saros against a team that is also hungry for a playoff spot.
Yep, I agree. But I mean, I think they roll Saros tonight. But you know, he's been playing well. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. This is what I don't want to see them get back into. Is there was a stretch, and I mean, he won the Carolina game for them. There's no doubt that he won the Carolina game for them.
Yes.
But there were times he was playing great, and they weren't playing, great in front of him, and they need to do that.
Well, and Chase, that's what I was going to ask you. How important is the defense in the game tonight, and not putting Saros or Lankinen, if he plays in a position like that where they have to be essentially perfect because of how many shots on goal the other team's getting. Even Askarov the other night, they put him in some positions that he shouldn't have been in. So how important do you think tonight is the defense going to be for the Preds?
It's huge. And, I mean, you look at one of the goals the other night, Fabro, I mean, he got caught out of position, and it burnt him. And Fabro has been the first to admit it. There's too many times that he'll make a little mistake and it burns him. Lozon, it's happened. And so even Jost, I mean, Roman Josi is the best defenseman, one of the best defensemen in the league, but he can't do everything. And so I think that they have to, and Matthias was talking about that the other night. They have to really shore up their game and be able to help their goaltenders out, whoever it is. And I think that you get spoiled sometimes because you have that all-star goaltender behind you, and you know that he's got your back. It's going to, if you make a mistake, he's going to be able to clean it up. But you can't bank on that every time. You got to help him out too, and I think that is a point of emphasis for them to try and get off this 3-game losing streak.
Chase, I think perfect point there. And before Saros, you had Pekka, right? This team, we talked about it last week, has had the luxury of having some phenomenal goaltenders. And you've got Askarov coming up right now, obviously played for the Preds a couple games ago. But, sometimes you need to put in your mentality, Juice will save the day. No, you have to not put him in those positions because you also need to save him for the playoffs and for the end of the year, and you can't be putting him in these positions because at the end of the day, you just have to play better defense because at some point those goals are going to go in no matter how incredible Saros is playing. It's just not fair to him.
Yeah, and I think what I hope happens is they get on a bit of a winning streak and get some confidence, and then some of those starts that Lankinen didn't get, they can go replace them to your point, to give Saros a little bit of a break so you know that he's fresh for the playoffs. But you have to use him right now as you're fighting for a playoff spot. And nothing against Lankinen, but that's just kind of how it is. So we'll see how it all turns out tonight. Max Hurd will have pregame for you at 6 on these airwaves. Coming up next, we dive back into the Titans. Who's at quarterback for them next year? There are some rumors out there. We'll discuss coming up next here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. the latest innovation from Discover. We'll help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
E2 Roofing, Nashville's veteran-owned roofing company with integrity, along with 102.5 The Game, recognize our veterans, active military, and first responders with the playing of our national anthem.
Marin Morris!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
This is ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The NFL wildcard slate is wrapping up this evening with the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Winner of that one will go on to face the San Francisco 49ers. And earlier this weekend, the Jacksonville Jaguars had a 27-point comeback over the Los Angeles Chargers, winning 31-30. They'll go on and face the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cincinnati Bengals will go on and face the Buffalo Bills after taking down the Baltimore Ravens. And the Philadelphia Eagles will now host the New York Giants. And your Nashville Predators will host the Calgary Flames tonight to begin a back-to-back. Pre-game begins right here at 6 p.m. Nashville has lost 3 in a row, and John Hines was asked on Saturday about how his team can regroup.
We got to take it, game by game. It's a lot of hockey in a short stretch, so we got to regroup from this one.
And Jeremy Fowler reports that the Tennessee Titans have requested to speak with Kansas City's offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, and even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle is presented by Hair Club. Love your hair, live your life, creating custom hair loss solutions for men and women. Chase McCabe, Michelle Knezovic, and the fantastic Rookie of the Year reporter Nick Keyser behind the glass here on this Monday. Could it happen? Could Tom Brady, when he loses tonight to the Dallas Cowboys, when he loses tonight to the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, Stephen A. has got his Brady jersey on. What are we doing, Stephen? Come on. When that happens, and he becomes a free agent this offseason, you know, I've been saying I think Brady's going to play, but he's going to play for a different team. And I think that he's gotten rejuvenated, but in his mind, his ego won't allow him to go out. Even though they made the playoffs, and the only reason they battled back to make the playoffs was because of him, he's not going to go out like this. So
Listen, even if he says he's retiring, I'm not believing it until week 1.
No. I think he is going to play somewhere else. But where could that be? Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network had an update on the potential landing spots for Tom Brady.
Meanwhile, on the other team playing in the Monday night game, Tom Brady is a free agent after the season, going to be 46 years old. And yeah, there is, I would say, a chance that he does not return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite the fact that they very much want him back and plan to make efforts toward that. Among the teams that would consider Brady, a couple of them considered Brady last time. The Tennessee Titans still have some quarterback questions there. The 49ers, if they do not decide to roll with Brock Purdy, although he's certainly stating his case. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, who have several of his old friends, including Josh McDaniels.
All right, that's Ian Rappaport. So I have felt pretty good. You know, at one point in time, I threw out the Jets. They could be a wild card, you know, because one thing to consider when you hear these rumors, and remember, we talked about what a rumor is last week. Is this Ian Rappaport being told by people in the know of, yeah, no, we're interested. We're going to talk to him. Obviously, we haven't yet, but we're going to talk to him. Or is he just connecting the dots that, well, he and Vrabel are buddies? Because I'm not convinced the Titans were ever in on him before. I just think that was out there because he and Vrabel are, you know, former teammates. San Francisco is where he's from, you know, that area. That makes sense. And then the Raiders make a ton of sense because of McDaniels. I've been saying that I thought he'd end up in Las Vegas because Vegas has, of outside of San Francisco obviously has a ton of weapons. But I mean, they're going to go with one of the three they have, I think. I think Jimmy G is going to end up somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But he showed that he's got some value. So the Jets could be in on him, you know, one of these teams Colts. I mean, Colts make a ton of sense. But so I think, you know, that's probably he's going to be out. You know, do they decide? I think a lot of what San Francisco does depends on how far they go. You know, if they go win the Super Bowl, then maybe they could say, hey, let's run it back with Purdy and trade Lance, you know, or whatever. But I think Vegas totally makes sense for Brady because Josh McDaniels has had the most success in his career with Tom Brady as his quarterback. They have a relationship that's like two brothers, but they get each other. He would have Davante Adams to throw to. So the Raiders, to me, would be the front runner. I personally give the Titans less than 10%.
Yeah, and, you know, as far as Ian Rappaport's report on it, I wouldn't say there's nothing to it or him just connecting the dots because I think Ian Rappaport wouldn't just pick those teams. I feel like you could probably make a connection to a lot of different teams out there. I get the connections that he made with, you know, Vrabel and McDaniels and whether he stays with the Bucs. But, you know, the way I look at it is, wouldn't every team want to try to get Brady, right?
Sure.
If Ian Rappaport.
Well, I don't know.
Not any team. Like if you have Patrick Mahomes, if you have Burrow or Herbert, or if you have your star, but what is that? 10 teams in the NFL, but most teams would at least, you know, flirt with the idea, I guess you could say. But I mean, I think that this team, it depends on where you go with it, right? So we talked about, you know, which way they go with the GM, the OC. I don't give it a high chance. I think if you're Tom Brady and you look at, well, Vegas, I got a elite level wide receiver to throw it to in Davante Adams, and McDaniels worked with him before, like him.
Sure.
But also, too, there's a lot of other areas on that Raiders team that just isn't good, and Brady's chasing a ring, and that Raiders defense is not very good. Their O-line's okay, but does he want to go to a team? Yeah, you have Davante Adams. Don't get me wrong. You probably have a very electric offense, but is it a team that he sees is put together that in a year with the draft and offseason moves, they could make a push for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think here's how I look at it for Brady. If I'm a GM or head coach, if I'm the new GM in Vrabel, I don't do it because to me, going after a 46-year-old quarterback, the only way you do it is if you are just perfect around him, that you have an offensive line, that you have several weapons at receiver, you have a run game, you have all those things, and you have a really, really good defense.
Like if this team still had A.J. Brown,
sure,
I would give it a much bigger chance that he would come
but
here.
They don't. They have so many holes that if I'm Brady, I don't want to come here because you got to look at this as a 1-year thing. That don't give me the well they could sign him to a 2-year deal. It's a 1-year thing. That he is going to go for it. He wants to be the only guy that's won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different teams, and that's how he keeps going. I think that of the 3 teams that are out there, San Francisco would obviously be the best one, but I just don't see them doing it. Now if they miss the Super Bowl, if they get to the NFC Championship game, or let's say they get to the Super Bowl and they lose, then maybe they do, and maybe it's like, hey, this is our last shot, to do that. I mean, then think about it. That's 3 different quarterbacks that could try and get them there. But if they win it, then why? I mean, what's the point? Like, you just won it. So, I mean, who cares? But the Raiders, to me, between the Raiders and the Titans, they have the most weapons. While I agree with you, they do have some holes. They have the most weapons to give him a legitimate shot to go after it. Other teams, there's probably going to be some that would come forward.
I like the Jets that you threw out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets, to me, feel like they're, they obviously got some pieces they got to fill, but they're basically a quarterback away.
Mm-hmm.
I like their coach,
We don't know what the Ravens are going to do.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's a good one. That's interesting. But I think
just thinking the Michigan.
Ultimately, I think Lamar, will end up being their quarterback. But you cannot ignore that he's 46 years old, or will be 46. When the season starts, he'll be 46.
Chase, I don't rule him out. I know he will be 46 years old, but the guy ceases to amaze us. I mean, I don't have him pulled up. I can pull him up here, but if you look at his numbers this year, and I know you cannot ignore the fact that he is going to be 46 years old, but we said that when he won in Tampa. What was that? 3 years ago?
2
years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was before. He won it at 44. I mean, I know he's going to be 46, right? Another year older, but honestly, to be honest, I don't even look at the age factor with him anymore, just because I didn't think he'd be able to do it at 40, at 44.
You have to,
but it's 2 years.
I know, but still, look, I'm not Tom Brady. I don't have the workout routine Tom Brady does.
Backwards.
Okay, I don't. But I'm realizing at 35 years old that I sneezed yesterday and I pulled something in my neck. I mean, that's where I am now. Again, I'm prefacing this. I'm not Brady. Brady is in tremendous shape for his age. He's still gonna be 46 years old. Eventually, Father Time is going to win. The TB12 stuff is not going to defeat Father Time, and I know that he's, had personal stuff going on. You obviously, once that kind of got taken care of, you saw him play a lot better. He looked more like himself. I think he wants one more shot at it. Tampa's going to try to keep him in. And look, he may decide, hey, I'm going to go back to Tampa. That may be the best fit. But
how many yards do you think he threw for this year?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's up there. I'm sure it's pretty good.
4,694.
Yeah, okay.
25 touchdowns.
Sure.
9 interceptions.
That's great numbers. He's still going to be 46. You can't ignore that.
But he's
45
right now.
He's the GOAT. I get it.
He's 45 right now.
Who is he, Nick? Man, I thought you had it.
Oh.
Thought you had it.
That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Listen, I get it. He's going to be 46 in what, a couple months?
August.
Nothing
is over.
But
Nothing.
I mean, I really don't rule out the fact that they could win tonight, move on to the divisional round, and then.
Yeah, look, if here in.
I get the point though, but I can't get there.
If 3 months from now, Robbie Bourne sends out an email and says Titans will have Tom Brady's introductory press conference, I'll go. I'll be excited about it. We'll talk about it nonstop, and everybody will be like, all right, the greatest quarterback, the greatest player of all time is now a member of the Tennessee Titans. But you will hear this a lot. You will hear me say, I hope that this is closer – this is funny to use him as an example – that this is Tom Brady leaving the Patriots to go to the Bucs, and it's that result. And I hope this isn't Joe Namath with the Rams. And I hope that this isn't – I mean, Montana was okay with the Chiefs, got them to the playoffs.
But Brady's different. He's so – like, what he has done and accomplished in his career – probably never see again in our lifetime.
He's built different. I get it.
But I get the age factor. I do. But we didn't see it at 44. We didn't see it at 45.
A lot can change in 2 years. A lot. And
But
a lot
people
has
said that at
changed.
40.
A lot has changed in 2 years. He's got to come in and you know, learn a whole new system and
I don't.
And look, and I'll say this too. He and Vrabel are buddies. They're pals. It's a different dynamic. Head coach and quarterback. Different dynamic. I'm just saying. What do you think? 615-737-1025. Should the Titans pursue Tom Brady? There's also another one that's out there that we'll discuss coming up next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports, and I've got something for you. Add this to your New Year's resolution to win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. We got our final Super Wildcard Weekend game tonight. The Cowboys in Tampa Bay. Dak leads the league in interceptions this year and didn't play in 5 games. I'm taking Tom Brady to win this game in advance to the divisional round. I just have faith in Tom when it comes to the postseason. So give me Tampa Bay plus the 2.5. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and place your bets today. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The playoffs are in full swing, and Electronic Express is bringing you show-stopping deals. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Get big game ready in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to IBEW429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Can't get enough Vanderbilt basketball?
Intercepted right all by himself for a one-hand flush.
Your home for the Commodores is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Put it up. It's good. Count it.
Join Coach Jerry Stackhouse and his team on their journey through the SEC.
Pulls a trigger. Yes, from three.
Check out Vandy Hoops on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app. Taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is Chase and Michelle.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Preds will be back in action tomorrow. That'll be another chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you'll win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate in Preds Pick to Click tomorrow morning at 8:45 with Robbie and Rex Road. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic here with you. Breaking news out of the college football world. I don't know how surprising it is, but I think there were some rumors, again, there's that word, that maybe C.J. Stroud would return to Ohio State, but that is not the case. He has tweeted, Adam Schefter has tweeted, but he's, of course, given this long thing, thanking everybody, thanking his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, his family, his Buckeye teammates, and, which is very well written, very cool to see him, say all that. And then with that said, I'm declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. So
listen, he wanted to tease people. He had until the end of the day today. I thought for a second, Marvin Harris Jr., he's going to be back. I thought maybe you want to chase for a natty, but good choice. Good choice, C.J. Stroud declaring for the NFL Draft. And listen, the Bears are probably getting excited because if he wasn't declaring and it was just
Bryce Young.
Oh my gosh, I had a brain fart there for a second. I'm like,
I got you. Teammates.
Thanks, Chaser.
Teamwork.
People would have been moving heaven and earth for that number one pick.
Yep. And look, I think the Bears are sitting in a great position because they
could trade twice.
Oh yeah, they're going to have a bounty on their hands.
The funniest thing will be when the Texans trade to get the one.
Well, they're probably going to have to.
And they shot themselves in the foot the last game of the year. Lovie Smith said,
Lovie.
Peace out.
Lovie's like, I know I'm getting fired, so 2 point, come on, let's go.
He's like, here you go, Bears, a little lob for you, and I'm out of here.
I love that. Look, that was a baller move.
That was a power move.
Like, if I knew, I'm getting fired, I'm going to screw you out of the number 1 overall pick.
It's like, now you're going to have to give up all this.
I am throwing up double birds.
That was a double bird moment.
Instead of holding up the 2 fingers for the 2-point conversion, I did the double bird. That's what I would do. That's how you know.
He's like, you're welcome.
That's how you know. But yeah, so I'm not that surprised. C.J. Stroud will declare for the draft. Look, I think there's a chance he could fall to 11.
CJ?
He probably doesn't, but he could.
The reason I don't think so is because if you look at the top 11 teams, everybody except for the Eagles, everybody except for the Cardinals, and there's one other team there, don't need a quarterback. Every other team needs one.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think he could drop to 11. Will Levis will probably be there.
Yeah, he could. But, I think it all depends on if you make the move for a veteran, like we're discussing, whether it's Tom Brady or, as Colin Cowherd thinks, Aaron Rodgers. I thought this was an interesting take that he had, Nick. When I look back and I don't see Nick, I get worried about calling for a soundbite. but this was an interesting take that Colin Cowherd had on his show last week of the Titans potentially going after Aaron Rodgers.
Mike Vrabel played with Tom Brady. He is absolutely one of the smartest coaches in the league. He knows the importance of the position. And he's now in a conference where Trevor Lawrence looks like a top 5 quarterback.
Yep.
He's in a conference with Mahomes and Allen
Yep.
and Burrow and Herbert
Yep.
and Trevor Lawrence, all the good young guys. And Vrabel is going to get on the phone after this season because there's no dead cap hit for Tannehill. And he's going to say, Aaron, get the F down here. He's going to play to his vanity. Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, I need you. He understands quarterback. Aaron's never had great defenses in Green Bay.
Okay, that was Colin Cowherd. So, number one, there is a dead cap hit for Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
It's $18.8 million. Now, I think there's some June 1st stuff that they could be less, so they could obviously do it that way. But they're not going to get out of this free and clear. They would save money, but they're not going to get out of it free and clear by any means.
Well, and in addition, Green Bay would have to pay, I think it's $40 million or something, because they just gave Aaron that huge contract. So
Yeah.
Green Bay is still going to get hit with a lot. Like, they're not going to let him go and be on the hook for that money.
Look, I'm going to quote Vincent Kennedy McMahon and say there is no chance in hell that this happens. I believe no chance. I think Brady has a light years better
Brady's a
chance
free
of
agent,
happening
so-
because he's a free agent than Aaron Rodgers coming to Nashville. Now, as soon as I've said that, this is going to be played all over our shows once that
Once
deal is,
somehow he gets here.
I'll be like, well, whatever, But
Well, okay, so I ask you this question. Let's say if the Titans do get Brady, if they get a veteran quarterback, do you still draft somebody?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and I'll tell you what. Okay, so I don't think
because
Brady's
it's only
happening
going to
either.
be a 1 year. Well,
Sure.
just hypotheticals here.
But in the hypothetical world in which we live, let's say they get Brady. So they've moved on from Tannehill. They sign Brady. Brady's not going to break the bank because, one, he's 46 years old, and two, this is just fun for him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Brady is he doesn't care much about these huge contracts because he's like, I want to have good players around me. He's always been like that, always been able to, restructure or whatever he needs to do. So
I'll tell you the guy that I would then draft, because I wouldn't spend the first round pick on a quarterback because you want to get Brady weapons. So
yeah.
Either offensive line or another
Wide
receiver, or some sort of offensive help is what I would do there. I would keep an eye on Hendon Hooker because Hendon Hooker is going to have a red shirt year in the NFL. You're not expecting him to be a day one guy anyway. If you draft Hendon Hooker and he sits behind Brady and he's learning from Brady, that's a win, in my opinion. And then you evaluate, Brady might be like, hey, Vrapes, let's run it back one more year. I'll play until I'm 80, what have you. And that just gives Hendon Hooker even more time. But that to me is the kind of formula that you would want, is a guy like Hendon Hooker that you don't even have to worry about. And you keep Malik Willis, just carry 3 quarterbacks, or Josh Dobbs, whoever, and move on from Malik Willis.
guys.
Yeah, VFLs. And you just don't have to worry about it. You just let him learn.
no, I like that idea. I think the only downfall of Hendon is we just haven't seen him run an NFL offense. He's obviously coming off the injury, but if he was able to be a guy who could sit under Brady for a year, you just run the same risks of what happened this year when your quarterback gets hurt and you don't have a true backup quarterback, which I know a lot of other teams do it, and they have their rookie, sit under a guy for a couple of years so they can gain experience. But you could get Hendon Hooker probably I'm looking at, I'm on NFL Draft Buzz.com where it says all the projections. It's got Bryce, here it's got Will, then CJ, Hendon Hooker being the 4th quarterback to be off the board for this one. But yeah, I mean, he's a smart guy.
I see. I feel like he's a day 2 guy for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked if he fell to day 3. Like, if he's a third or a fourth round guy because of the injury, I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Well, yeah.
I also wouldn't be shocked if teams, reached on him.
Well, and people probably forget that, he was the front runner for the Heisman, and then obviously, the Georgia game didn't play very well, and then he got hurt and he didn't play in the postseason, and he's been, rehabbing the knee, but I don't know where his rehab is or how he is right now or if he'll even be able to compete in the combine. But
I doubt it.
He could be a great, second round, maybe third round pick.
To me, he's
under the radar.
He is a low risk, high reward pick.
That's what we said about Malik Willis.
But even more so than him, because you're not gonna. He's just gonna it's a wash this year. It's a redshirt year, and I think that's really important.
This is the exact same thing we said last year about Malik Willis, though.
Yeah, but Hendon Hooker's better. I mean, right now I would take Hendon Hooker over Malik Willis without even thinking about it. Right now. Yeah. It's not even a thought for me.
I don't know.
But
I would have to think on that one.
We'll ask Hutton. Coming up next, we'll talk to Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360. It's Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like waterfront property, more like a mosquito farm. Pride of ownership, they're really proud of the DIY job they did. Seller says sell. Really? I thought they just put it on the market for fun. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if it says don't let this one pass you by, it's probably on wheels. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
Tatum, I think at worst, he's third in MVP right now. He's playing defense at a borderline all-defense level. He's too young for these conversations to really start in earnest. If he's a Celtic for life for most of his career, he has a chance to be historically, for one of the two historic giants in the league, as great as any player who's ever worn that uniform, including Bird.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I got some good news.
Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace coming up in about 30 minutes live from Bridgestone Arena. But every Monday at 10:30, Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360, joins the show. Hut, what's up?
Good morning. Great to be back on with you guys. Chase, hope everything is well. Michelle?
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm feeling great this morning.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Her and Chad are in a little bit of a tiff right now, so we might have to I mean, we may have to step in at some point. Kentucky fan over here, Tennessee fan with Chad.
Okay.
So
Chad chose war on Twitter this morning, Hutton. I would just like to inform you of that. He chose war.
It's not war,
So-
it's a tiff.
So does that mean that Chad's also going to come on the show today?
No, but it should happen.
In the future.
It might have to happen at some point. We might have to have
That would be good.
me step in and have therapy here. But let's get into the Titans. Obviously, not participating in Super Wildcard Weekend. We know that. We know that the GM interviews are underway. Offensive coordinator interviews are being requested. I said earlier, and I want to see if you agree with this, that the more I think about it and the more I read some of the tea leaves, I still think that it's going to be Cowden or Monty Austinfort getting the GM job and they stay internal. And I think they're going to go outside for OC. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I mean, I can see it being an internal elevation, I guess, for the Titans. But it's just a guess because I don't know what specifically they're looking for in the next general manager. We have not been told that directly from ownership and those in the room who report to ownership. So let's start there. Externally for the OC, that also, I mean, knowing that they're reaching out to potentially talk with Bieniemy and Matt Nagy with ties to the Kansas City Chiefs tells me that they are definitely considering all options not named Tim Kelly.
Yep.
But Tim Kelly being elevated to play caller also makes total sense to me. I think both ways can easily be linked up. But Chase, this is this for offensive coordinator. Let's start there. It needs to be a hire that is capable of layering calls. Having defensive coordinators chase the next call instead of defending the next call. And I don't think that's happened here since Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator. So if Tim Kelly's that guy, he's that guy that Vrabel will trust. But also, I mean, bringing in Bieniemy or Nagy, who are trying to climb the ladder and be a head coach either for the first time or again, much like we've seen with the OCs here, 2 of the last 3, in LaFleur and Smith. Pairing up with Vrabel's not a bad idea because you know that you're going to have a solid top 10-like defense. And I just don't buy the whole rebuild, tear it down mantra because there's no way this head coach buys into that line of thinking whatsoever. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that the OC would see that too. And from a general manager stance, I don't know why, if you're tired of the same old depth and the same evaluation process, that you just promote from within. But that's just me. And my guess is in these meetings, someone is going to come across the same way John Robinson did, who was coming from Tampa, that will make an excellent first impression, and they'll end up sticking with that person. That's what Amy said whenever John sat down across from them.
Yeah, well, and here's what I think too. I think whoever Vrabel is the most comfortable with is who's going to get the job. It's not that Vrabel necessarily wants to have all of the power, but Amy's made it pretty clear that Vrabel's going to be a part of this process, and both of them are going to report to her, not Vrabel reporting to a GM. So I think if he goes through this process and they go through a second round of interviews that he's a part of, and he says, you know what, I really like working with Ryan. We've been on the same page with personnel moves. Let's just go with that. That's going to be the move she makes.
Yeah, and I also, it's the collaboration is what you're hinting at there, and that makes total sense. I mean, you've got I don't think he's going to have the control. Excuse me. You think that he's taking full control. I don't see that. But what I do see is more of, and I think he was vocal behind the scenes anyway. Look, Chase, and you know this, Vrabel is not going to be someone that remains silent in a private meeting with the general manager.
No.
Even if he doesn't have full control. Even if he doesn't have personnel say. So with that in mind, he's going to be extremely opinionated. He's going to, he adapts to the roster, which is something that the OC needs to do as well. and they have to be in lockstep. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You can't be we're going to win the battle in the trenches type team and then be finesse and expect it to work from the front office for a head coach that's opposite you. So, yeah, I mean, I think it makes total sense that they collaborate. I don't think that Vrabel comes in and says, yeah, don't like this, we're doing this. I think it'll be more in the line of, okay, here's what we're thinking, here's what we need to do. General manager is personnel, and Vrabel's in charge of his staff and how they go about using that personnel.
We've got Jonathan Hutton on with us of Outkick 360. Jonathan, so this weekend, obviously, rumors came out of the Tennessee Titans requesting to interview an Eric Bieniemy, a Matt Nagy. If they do go that route with offensive coordinator and that Andy Reid style offense, do you see a Derrick Henry being a part of this team next year?
Yes. Because you can't look at the Chiefs and think, oh, they look at this offense because they don't run the football. They have Patrick Mahomes. The Tennessee Titans do not. And they're not even close to having that type of player. He's not in the draft. He's not a free agent. And while you have Tannehill was good with a running back behind him and a play caller that excelled with play action that didn't tip plays and didn't come up with very predictable down and distances, so here's the play call type feel. The Chiefs also use their pass game, their short pass game, as an extension of their run, and they have tried to run it more. Mm-hmm. But with Mahomes, they just make up for it. They've got the MVP, who's going to be the two-time MVP after this playoff run, who's passed for 5,000 yards and 41 touchdowns. So that all plays into why Kansas City's offense is viewed that way, and rightfully so. The new OC here, even if it is Bieniemy or Matt Nagy or anyone, they have to adapt to the personnel that they have. And right now, the easiest way to go about doing that and also just make sure that you're taking advantage of what's in the cupboard currently versus what you're going to add, which is going to be a lot more speed if they're going that direction. They one of the slowest offenses in the league, Michelle. You lean on the run game. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be Derrick Henry, but I do think they still will emphasize a run game. And that's what Vrabel has done since he became the head coach. That's what he emphasized with Arthur Smith. That's what he emphasized prior to Arthur with Matt LaFleur. That's what he emphasized currently, and that's what he will emphasize moving forward. I don't think that changes. And I also don't think it handcuffs them to where they can't be a modern NFL offense while also having that same mantra, because in 2020, they rushed for 2,000 yards by an individual while also passing for 4,000 by an individual. They should have had two 1,000-yard wide receivers. Corey Davis missed a game towards the end of the season that year. He ended up with just about 900. And then they had two tight ends that flourished, including Jonnu Smith, who had 700 yards receiving. So, yeah, they can still throw the football and take advantage of defenses trying to load the box and still be a run-first, in the trenches, gut it out, punch you in the mouth type team that Vrabel will always continue to emphasize.
Well, and it's that time of year again with all of the Tom Brady rumors. Ian Rappaport came out with a report this weekend saying 4 teams that would be interested in Brady: Titans, Raiders, 49ers, and the Bucs, of course. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think it is a reality of any sorts in getting Tom Brady next season?
He's going to be 46 years old. 46.
Age doesn't matter with this guy.
I do not throw out any scenario with Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady respect Mike Vrabel the same way Vrabel respects them. Keep that in mind. They're not going to go play for some scrub coach. Also keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. So the biggest surprise in all these reports, where are the Dolphins? Where are the Miami Dolphins for Tom Brady? It sounds like they're going back to Tua. Now, that can be window dressing, but the Dolphins were in heavy pursuit of Tom Brady a year ago to pair him with Sean Payton, and now no one's even mentioning them on these lists, which is a layup, where you're like, oh, you just kind of glance over it because, yeah, we've heard that before, and they're not there. So it's more about what I haven't heard than what we're hearing. And, yeah, Brady and Vrabel are always going to be linked up because of their history together. But it's, for everyone saying burn down the facility and, rebuild everything, I will present and blind carbon copy you on the email that I'll send out of the 2022 New York Football Giants, who were won 4 games a year ago. And I will also blind carbon copy you on the Tampa Bay Bucks prior to Tom Brady going there. Brady and Rodgers will bring people with them, and they will instantly make you a playoff caliber team battling for the postseason, even in their worst seasons at age 46, or in a disgruntled year where somehow Aaron Rodgers can't be happy even when making $50 million a season. But no, I don't throw it out because, again, in my realistic scenario, I don't think they can do better than Tannehill this offseason. In a future rebuild type scenario, retool, how do you keep your playoff opportunity open in this division while also trying to build around that foundation, rebuild that foundation where you bring in guys that do fit the overall culture? Well, you have guys that will help bridge that gap, and these two are more than just gap fillers. These guys are going to a spot where they can compete and win. I don't think the Titans are as high on that list as the other teams you mentioned by any means. Vegas, to me, makes total sense for either guy. But you can find pairings anywhere. And the organization that lands one of the two, they will be, conceding to bring in some other guys with them because that's what these guys will demand. And I don't blame them, and neither should the team because the team's going to improve.
You heard it here. Brady and Gronk to Nashville. That's what I just took from that.
Take a Kentucky victory lap for me today, Hutton.
Hey, it was a last stand feel, and the Wildcats got it done in what was a sloppy, ugly game, but they got a big win on the road in Knoxville, so congratulations to the Cats.
Take the L, Chad.
There you go. Jonathan Hutton with us from Outkick 360. Hut, appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep, sounds good, guys. I
Thanks,
always
Hutton.
look forward to it. Have a good day.
You too. Outkick 360 weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan. You can also hear Hutton on Wednesdays with Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at noon. We will return, and I'm gonna let Michelle take her victory lap for her Cats and talk a little college hoops. We'll do that next here on Chase and Michelle 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
Back to Johansson, and Johansson tips it in with one hand on the stick.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
All right, get ready for tonight with Superbook Sports and add this to your New Year's resolution. Win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. They have over 3 decades of sports wagering experience, and you know that you'll get the best odds anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, you can check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Las Vegas. Download the Superbook Sports app now and place your bets. Cowboys -2.5 on the road tonight against Tampa Bay. I love Dallas. You know I love Dallas. I'm not going to pick against them. But even though Tom Brady and Tampa are at home, they're a 2.5-point dog. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Happy New Year and Happy New You from Houston Clinic Orthopedics, conveniently located where you live and work with various locations in and around the Nashville area. Houston's physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they strictly adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Hello, Tennessee Power Hour listeners. My name is Hunter Briley, and I'm with Regal Realty Group.
And my name is Richard Van Clive. I'm also with Regal Realty Group.
And we are great friends that treat our clients like great friends.
Because that's how we want to be treated.
We are also born and raised here in Middle Tennessee and support our local team.
And with an economy that's affecting everything except the real estate market, it's important to do business with friends that can tell you what's what.
From contract to closing, everything in between, we have you covered. Go to regalrg.com to get started. And happy football season.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
The 17th Annual Father and Son Bowl is February 11th. This event is a fun day of flag football, tailgate food, door prizes, a skill zone, and more. Every year sells out, so register now. Go to fathersonbowl.com. That's fathersonbowl.com.
I've had COVID.
Me too.
But I didn't know you could get it again. What?
And if you're 50 or older,
Or have a chronic condition like heart disease or diabetes. Getting COVID again could get really serious, even deadly.
that's why getting an updated COVID vaccine is so important.
COVID isn't going away anytime soon, but I can lower my risk.
And I'm up for that. We can do this. Find updated COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are good to go. Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Chase and Michelle on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by Hair Club. Love your hair, live your life, creating custom hair loss solutions for men and women. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic, reporter Nick Keyser on the ones and twos. Appreciate Jonathan Hutton for joining us. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace will have more on the Titans coming up next, but I had to let Michelle have her victory lap because Kentucky Wildcat. Before we get into that, I got to shout out Vandy, though.
Oh, we got to shout out Vandy.
Big win over Arkansas, and off the top of my head, that's got to be Stackhouse's biggest win since he's been there. I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, the 15th ranked team. I mean, but look, Vandy's scrappy, and they got to win. They were hanging with Tennessee, and ended up losing that one, but they're scrappy. But that's a heck of a win for them to get that done.
Yeah, so
they don't all have to be pretty, but
they won 97-84. Arkansas is the 15th ranked team in the country right now. So, yeah, I mean, it probably is Jerry Stackhouse's biggest win. If we're missing one, let us know in the text line, 615-737-1025. But I think, I mean, that is Eric Musselman has made that Arkansas program, brought him to the Final Four a couple years ago. That is a top SEC program now. Especially the last couple years under him. But I would love to take my victory lap, Chase. Listen, I ranted on Friday, I think it was Friday or Thursday, about how I was over Cal. Well, listen, it was just a rash reaction on my front. All is well in the world because winning just fixes everything.
It does.
Big win in Knoxville, broke their 25-game win streak at home. So Kentucky wins. It was an ugly game, a very defensive, not a pretty shooting game. But, I mean, Tennessee is ranked 5th. I haven't checked the standings today, but I'm sure they've been adjusted. I'm sure Tennessee's still probably in the top 10. But this Kentucky team finally seemed to figure out some things. They obviously always have good talent, but haven't been able to put it together. But I was talking to Joe this morning, about this Tennessee team, and the argument is always March. Okay, well, they can be a top team in the country all year, but what can they do in March? What can Rick Barnes do in March? And they have great players on this team, but unfortunately, last year they had a Kennedy Chandler where, if something was going wrong or somebody couldn't, make a play, Kennedy Chandler was their guy. They could count on Kennedy Chandler to make a play. They could count on him to put the team on his back. I mean, he's in the NBA now. Of course they could. He's one of the best players and at the point guard as well. But this year, they don't have that one guy who can take over a game if need be. They have a lot of veteran players on their team, but they don't have that one guy or that great guard who can take over a game if need be, and really great guard play as a whole. And that's what you need to win in March. I know it's only January 16th right now, but they got a deep bench, but it'll be interesting to see how they trend these next couple of weeks.
So I'm not going to lose my mind over one game in January. So let me just say that.
No, you Vols fans, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
But and I've been pretty consistent on this, that Rick Barnes, while I don't disrespect his resume, he gets teams to the tournament. He hasn't performed in March. I mean, he gets them there, but then they don't do anything with it. And Tennessee right now is a 5th-ranked team in the country. Obviously, they're going to drop, but and you're going to have some hiccups along the way. That's fine. This is not a good Kentucky team. Just no offense, they're not. But
they have good talent. They just haven't played well together.
They haven't put it all together. This is my biggest knock on Rick Barnes, though, of that you got this team that has all the talent in the world, and they look like, hey, they're built to go on a run, and then they're going to just have these lapses. And again, I recognize this is January. This is mid-January. Show me in March. But this is just the stuff I've seen over the years, and until I actually see them go on a deep run with Rick Barnes as the head coach, I'm just going to kind of be here going like, okay.
Well, I mean, when you look at this game, it's always going to be a tough game between them. I mean, the SEC just across the board as far as basketball schools, they've stepped up big time. I mean, you've seen Arkansas, you've seen Auburn, you've seen these other programs, not just Kentucky, make runs in the tournament. Tennessee, they've had great teams. They've had the opportunity to, but I wouldn't say, I mean, this is an awful loss to Kentucky. Yeah, they're not a ranked team, but they still have, top 5 recruiting class, top 5 talent in the country. So when you look at this, it's easy to say, this Kentucky team sucks. And believe me, I've watched a lot of them. They've played pretty sucky, pretty bad. And it's very easy to be like, they suck. They lost to a sucky team. But, I mean, you still lost to a team who easily could be a tournament team every year. So I don't look at it as that bad of a loss for Tennessee. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Kentucky fan, but yeah, Tennessee had been playing, at such an elite level early on in the season, and Kentucky had been playing at an awful level. The team looked horrible. But when a team figures out how to put it together, they're not they have good talent. So it's not like when people are looking at this like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost. It's like, okay, well, here's the thing. You missed so many open layups. There you go. That's one. Couldn't shoot. I mean, and I don't know why they didn't keep going to Uros Plavsic. I can barely say his name. It's so hard. I mean, he's like 4 inches taller than Oscar Tshiebwe and could make everything in the lane. He's 7'1". Oscar's 6'9". So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but Joe made a good point of you see the pressure get to some of the guys on this team, and yeah, they're great veteran leaders, but we saw it in March and saw it Thompson Bowling on Saturday.
Yeah, you got to win that at home. But look, like I said, it's mid-January. We'll see. Alabama's got a couple of blemishes on their record. I mean, every team, there's no undefeated team. So, look, it is what it is. Houston's still number 1 team in the country, and then Kansas, Purdue, Bama, Tennessee right now before the next round of rankings come out. So congratulations to your Cats. I know it was a good day for you.
It's always a nice silver lining when Kentucky's one of their worst teams can beat Tennessee's
in a
best.
week you'll be wanting to fire Cal again. So
that's okay.
It's just the up and down roller coaster
ride. The
ride
up and
that you're
down
on.
life of being a fan of a team. Tennessee Titans fans understand. Cowboys fans understand. Preds fans understand. Some days you want to just fire somebody.
Yeah, look.
But then if you win, it's like, I love you again.
Here's what I'll say on tonight. And I do think the Cowboys are going to win. But either way, I'm going to win. Because the Cowboys, if they win the game, they advance and they keep playing. If they lose, then Sean Payton will be a great head coach. So I can't wait.
I think he's going to the Chargers.
I think
Herbert,
I think
Dak.
I think that's got a really good chance. But if they lose tonight, Jerry will do everything in his power to get Peyton, and that is a little bit of a dream job.
Yeah, but
that's where he coached. He was there.
Young QB talent.
I think that Sean Payton could do wonders for Dak, though. With Herbert, absolutely, but I think he could do wonders for Dak.
This is going to be the coaching carousel of the offseason. I hope we have a lot of big coaching moves, a lot of big quarterback movement. Love the offseason, Chase.
Oh, I know. Who doesn't? And we'll have you covered right here. Coming up next, it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. They're live at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena, getting set for Predators and Flames tonight, but they will have full reaction. I can't wait to hear their reaction to Super Wildcard Weekend. That is all coming up next. My thanks to Nick Keyser, Michelle Knezovic. I'm Chase McCabe. Have a great rest of your Monday every day here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.